Some of you love bugs know that I've been working on a tarot project that blends bug science and art. I've just finished the King of Swords that is represented by the periodical cicadas. Since cicadas are bursting out of the ground by the literal millions, I thought I'd show you the painting progress of the card and spill some cicada facts. It's just facts here on my YouTube. If you're interested in learning more about the symbolism of the card in relation to the reasoning why I picked the cicada, you can follow the project on my Instagram, metamorphosis.tarot. And if you're interested in the whole idea of the project, the only tarot deck with a reference section, you can check that video right up there. Unless you're on TikTok, then you can find it on my feed. Since today I'll just be excitedly relaying facts about the periodical cicadas, you get to watch the process. Did I have trouble keeping the paper in frame? Apparently. Sorry about that. First, I know, because I was one of these entomologists, but many entomologists or bug enthusiasts in the States look outwards to South America, Asia, Australia, or Africa for the amazing bugs that live there. But periodical cicadas are one of North America's special bugs. The periodical cicadas are the only ones that have this long lifespan unique to prime emergence cycles of 13 or 17 years. Other periodical cicadas exist in India that emerge every 4 years and in Fiji where a species emerges every 8, but North America is the only one that has the 13 or 17 year ones. During this time underground, the cicadas will essentially not move from their underground burrow and on their little tree roots where they drink in tree sap. They sit there. They just sit there for 13 or 17 years. For context, 13 years ago, I had just graduated college, and 17 years ago, I had just graduated high school. I have a master's degree now. I live in a different country. That's all the cicadas do. They just sit there for that amount of time and drink tree sap. And that is 99.5% of their entire lives that is spent underground. The adult periodical cicadas only live for a couple weeks. Periodical cicadas count to know when to come out of the ground. Trees have sap cycles. During spring, they ramp up sap production, and during winter, they produce less. Cicadas count these sap cycles to know when to come out. Years where there's a warm spell and trees produce 2 cycles of sap within the same year, periodical cicadas on trees affected by this come out a year earlier than expected. The double emergence in North America this year, 2024, is an event that hasn't happened in 221 years. That was 1803. And in case your history knowledge is as bad as mine, that's the year where the Louisiana Purchase was made by the US and the Napoleonic Wars began. The next double emergence won't happen until the year 2245. This year is truly a once-in-a-lifetime event. The following states will experience this historical double emergence: Illinois and Iowa, also parts of Kentucky, Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, North and South Carolina, and Virginia will also be able to get in on the show. Trillions, literal trillions of cicadas will emerge, and there's a rough estimate that 1.5 million cicadas will emerge per acre. And for those of you who don't do acres, that's 3.7 million cicadas per hectare. Cicada broods are denoted by Roman numerals. In 1907, an entomologist, Charles Lester Marlott, assigned the numbering system and estimated 30 broods, which were named based on the calendar year in which they emerged. 17-year cicadas are denoted between 1 and 14, and 13-year cicadas are from 19 to 23. Many of the 30 hypothetical broods have never been observed, as only 17 have a historical record. Some broods, like 11, which was last seen in New England in 1954, and 21, which was last seen in Florida in the 1870s, are extinct. This is attributed to habitat loss, especially the loss of large forests in New England and the introduction of house sparrows. We may continue to lose broods into the future as big trees seem necessary for their development. Generally, the 17-year cicadas are found more northernly, and the 13-year cicadas are found more southerly, and there are way more broods of the 17-year cicadas than there are of the 13. Periodical cicadas are an important part of the ecosystem. Their mass emergence overwhelms the predator population, ensuring that enough survive to reproduce. But this mass emergence is important for many birds, mammals, reptiles, and other predators. With increased nutrition and little competition between species for the bug buffet, birds during cicada emergences have more offspring and increased chick survival. These increases in populations extend even after the year of the cicada emergence. Scientists have noticed the positive impact in populations up to 3 years after the phenomenon. Since all the predators are tied up catching the easy-to-get prey, butterflies, moths, and other insect populations catch a break during cicada emergence years. Caterpillar populations can double. And seriously, the birds are really catching the cicadas and not their normal caterpillar diet. Like, there's evidence of chickadees, which are these tiny little North American birds, hacking apart a cicada with its beak on the ground because they're just that easy to get. Cicadas have other positive effects on the environment as well. Cicada burrows help aerate the ground and improve water flow and water filtration. All the dead cicadas decomposing replace nutrients in the ground and act as fertilizers for the flora. And more data is needed to assess the overall long-term net effect on the trees, but the general consensus is big trees are fine, sick trees and saplings may need some help. If you're worried about trees on your lawn and the cicadas, you can just toss a net over of them and wait a few weeks. Both 13 and 17, which are the periods of time that a specific brood of cicada will emerge, these are both prime numbers. We expect that the cicadas emerge in these prime cycles because it's harder for specialized predators to develop life cycles around these long and prime intervals. Of course, like I just mentioned, there's predators every year, like birds and spiders and mantises, but many insects have a specific, usually parasitoid, that's a wasp, sometimes a fly, sometimes a fungus, and these long cycles make it difficult for a predator to evolve to match up those long cycles. But have no fear, the periodical cicadas definitely do have a natural enemy. Massophora fungus only affects periodical cicadas and forms a plug that replaces the abdomen. So if you see a cicada, dead or alive, that has most of its abdomen is just a fluffy white fungusy looking thing, that's because it's a fluffy white fungus. This fungus keeps the cicada alive for a while, and the cicadas who are infected are infertile and transmit the disease. The fungus has a dormant phase where it can stay in the soil until the next emergence. Cicada nymphs crawling up from the ground are infected by the fungal spores that are dormant in the soil. Only males buzz to attract the females using an organ called the tymbal. This is a thin membrane that is vibrated using muscles in the thorax. The way the tymbals work is akin to snapping the lid of a Snapple bottle in and out. The essentially hollow nature of the cicada's body and breathing tubes allows them to resonate like a drum, amplifying the sound. A single male cicada can call at 109 decibels, which is what you might experience at a rock or a pop concert or starting a chainsaw. Females don't sing, but instead snap their wings in response to a male who will follow that sound to mate with her. You can mess with them by snapping your fingers near a calling male and watch him follow you. The technical term for the shed cicada shells you find on trees are Exuvia, plural, or Exuvium, singular. And a Pokemon, Shedinja, is a ghost type that is actually the shell of the cicada once it does its evolution in the game, which is really cool and is one of my favorite Pokemon just because it's like a ghost type. It's like really wonky based on the bug biology, so I get very excited about it. Moving on. Cicadas are not like butterflies. They do not have complete metamorphosis. Instead, they just have an egg stage, a nymphal stage, and an adult. Their development is much more similar to that of dragonflies than it is of butterflies. Continuing on the list of things that cicadas are not, they are not locusts. Locusts are a type of grasshopper, while cicadas are a completely unrelated group in the order Hemiptera or the true bugs. An easy way to tell that cicadas are not locusts is because that cicadas do not have the jumping legs that grasshoppers do. Another way is that grasshoppers have chewing mouth parts. They have mandibles to crush up plants and grass and stuff. But cicadas have a needle-like mouth that allows them to pierce and suck the tree sap. In 2023, we finally got a study showing that periodical cicadas do feed as adults. It was believed for many years, up to last year, that they do not. But this was disproven using a gut content study. Over 54% of adult periodical cicadas feed on multiple species, whereas the remaining just fed on one. If you are lucky, like 1 in a million lucky, you can find a blue-eyed periodical cicada. Finding blue-eyed periodical cicadas is more rare than finding a four-leafed clover. Gene Kritsky, an entomologist at Mount St. Joseph University, says that he received more than 500,000 photos in 2021, and only 2 individuals had blue eyes. So maybe it's more like 1 in every 250,000 instead of 1 in a million. But you get it, it's rare. So if you find one, you've got good luck. And finally, periodical cicadas are edible. They've been historically eaten by Native Americans who fired or roasted them in ovens and stirred them until they were well browned. Modern recipes are available if you want to exact your revenge on the screaming in the sky. Friend and fellow entomologist Joseph Yoon was featured in the New York Times for his gourmet recipes featuring cicadas if you want to take a look. Well, love bugs, thanks for coming along with me on this painting and facting. And if you are in the area where periodical cicadas are emerging, I hope that you now appreciate how special that is a little bit more. And if you're like me, who does not live in the US, then we can just jealously admire from afar. All right, love bugs, I will see you quite soon for another video.